Beautiful. Thank you. Unfortunately, I'm going to cut off our comments now so we could get to class. But before we do, maybe you could introduce yourself and tell
Sure.
everybody a little bit about you. And
yeah, absolutely. Well, it's so nice to be here. First of all, thank you all for letting me sit in, and yeah, just absolutely looking forward to getting to know you all over the course of the year, hopefully in either in person or in other capacities. So yeah, I'm Yael. I am starting my 5th year at Hebrew College, so my last year of my studies. I'm from the Boston area, although before returning to rabbinical school, I spent the previous 4 years in Vermont and then returned home to Boston where my family is. And I'm just trying to think of a little, it was so nice to hear a little bit of all of you. When COVID started, I was actually in Israel. I was in my year abroad. And right before COVID hit, I went to Budapest in Hungary. So a little bit, unfortunately, no Bulgarian connection, but maybe soon. And yeah, and I'm very excited, and I love both writing and listening to others writing. So I'm excited to hear from you all as well. So thank you very much again.
so the rabbinical school that Yael goes to is Boston College, Boston, what's it called?
Hebrew College.
Hebrew College
yeah.
of Hebrew
It's just
College.
Hebrew College.
It's just
right.
Hebrew College
Yeah.
now. They've changed the name a little bit, right? Just Hebrew College Rabbinical School.
Correct. Yes.
It was always Hebrew College,
Right,
even
correct.
though New
You're
Yorkers
right,
call
you're
it
right.
Boston.
I know. I'm sorry. It's my mother went to the prose door of Hebrew College.
Yes, I went to Prose Door as well for a little bit of time.
Yeah, in the 30s. I mean,
Oh,
my
yes.
mother went in the 30s.
Yeah,
So
there are
yeah.
ledgers of people from a long time ago. Yeah.
And actually, my closest friend is the president of Hebrew College. So
Yeah.
I always know that the students we get from Hebrew College, I get the what do they call it? The inside skinny? What do they call that? So Yael comes very, 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 very highly recommended as a thoughtful, deep soul person who is great learning and very creative. And we're really looking forward to her being part of our community this year. So and you guys are the first ones at CBSC to meet her. So you'll hear more in the course of the next, we're going to send out an email in September with all the details. But she's now even on our website, where our new website is actually starting to get even up to date, which is a sign that the Messiah might be coming, but one never knows. Yeah. Okay. So we're now continuing with the personal offerings. Who's doing Psalm 27 today?
Let me just jump in and say that
Thank you.
Annika was going to cover for Harold, but I'm covering for Annika, so I'm your substitute TA for today.
We have a very good group of TAs at this class.
And the newest location for Hebrew College is actually not far from me. Yeah. Also, if you're ever there in person and you want a kayaking break, just drop by.
Are you in Newton?
In Waltham, but it's a 5-minute drive.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
And my mother lives practically across the street from where Hebrew College is going to be.
I think we actually have some other Boston people. We have California. Yeah, anyway, go ahead. So Joan, tell us who's doing Psalm 27.
So first we're going to have Psalm 27, which Randy is reading, and I'm just going to share the screen for Fisher so people can see it. Okay.
Okay. You are my light and my help. Whom should I fear? You are the fortress of my life. Whom should I dread? When the narrow ones gather their strength to devour me, it is they who stumble and fall. Even if a royal army were camped outside my gate, my heart would not fear. And when they struck out with terrible weapons against me, even then I'd trust. One thing I ask for, one thing I hope, to live in your house all the days of my life, to behold your loveliness every morning in the light of your temple dawn, till on a doomful day you secure me in your precincts. Conceal me within the folds of your covering tent. Place me high and safe upon a rock, my head lifted above the engulfing waves. With the joy of my heart, I will sacrifice within that billowing shelter, singing and playing my abandonment to you. Hear my voice when I raise it up. Be gracious, answer me. Speaking with your voice, my heart sang, seek my presence. I will. Do not hide your glowing face from me. Do not reject me in anger because of my shortcomings. You have always been for me. Don't cast me off now. Don't walk away, my helper, my friend. My mother and father forsake me, but you take me up. Show me the way. Guide my steps on the clear path against the ever-present cliffs and thickets. Protect me from the noise of desire and hatefulness, from false words and shouted accusations. If I did not have faith in your rightness, that it would bloom in this living land, it is unthinkable. I wait only for you with strength and good courage. I wait only for you.
Beautiful, Randy. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So we're going to keep going today with personal offerings for Psalm. I think we're to Psalm 26, is that right? And then we'll go back to studying Psalm 28, which you started on Monday. So Joan, who are we starting
We're
with?
starting with Goldalee, and let me. So
And I might add, not only have people written psalms or offerings, some of our folks are visual artists and have done art. Some are composers and have written music.
And this is a combination.
So
We have Goldalee's text, and that you can see in the beginning of her commentary. There's a little more commentary on a following page. And this is a sung piece. So we have an audio file, and that I will try to play for you.
Your chin is safe and warm, not cold. Though you may be keeping me from growing old, just keep your chin so safe and warm, not cold. Though you may be keeping us from growing old. Why not keep your chin so safe, and your mouth and your nose, and keep yourself healthy and old? Please keep your chin so safe, and your mouth and your nose. You may help keep us all healthy and old. I die 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 die. I die 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 die. I die 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 die. I die die die. Keep your chin safe.
Wow, Goldalee, could you tell us about doing this? I think the writing is very small, so it's hard to read. So can you walk us through it? That is so powerful, so powerful. Are you here today, Goldalee?
Yes, thank you, Rabbi. Thank you. I don't know if you see the text that I was wanting to share to give an explanation, the notes. Is that what you're referring to? That was small?
Yeah, that was too small to read right now on the screen. But you can you read it to us? Why don't you read it to us?
I would love to.
Okay.
I would love to. Thank you. Thank you. I had originally written and sang this walking up 8th Avenue last winter as a way to creatively and positively channel my concern and upset and visceral sense of powerlessness over the frightening situation of so many people walking so very close, unmasked or masked improperly. I sang it as a therapeutic sort of tongue-in-cheek, a la belted Broadway Ethel Mermanesque mantra, or as a drag Ethel at Don't Tell Mama. Yet this version, the only recording I made, is more somber and plaintive, I suppose just as earnestly therapeutic and true, though a more tragic answer to the comedic. All of these emotions and more rang true as each helped me to sing through the many feelings. Then when I heard Psalm 26's Safaria translation, verses 1 and 11, quote, walk without blame, the English translation, I heard this walking chant anew as both the blamer and the blamed, just as I had tried not to blame others originally, even when I felt violated, yet with far less of a charge now, even as the Delta variant presents yet another challenge for all of us to, quote, walk without blame. And in verse 6, these feelings also were resonant with, quote, I wash my hands in innocence. And in verse 12, my feet, quote, my feet are on level ground, end quote. My hope is that it remains a healing mantra of release and relief without blame nor shame, yet with acknowledgement of all feelings for each of us.
Sorry, there it goes. Wow, so powerful. And the die, die, die at the end totally changes in my ear, hearing that die, die, die that we sing all the time, right? I mean, completely.
Yes.
Oh my God. And your performance of it was magnificent, really powerful.
Thank
Really
you.
powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, even in the
And
group.
honestly,
Thank you.
we're at the same situation now, right? Walking around watching people be
Yes.
cavalier
Yes.
and not thoughtful and serious about the moment of time and how that makes us feel vulnerable, and also, wow, really fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you, Goldalee.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And Goldalee, where are you? Just so Yael can be hearing all the different places we represent.
Well, hi, Yael, welcome. I'll just say in the group, may not notice because I'm always on the phone, but I was in quarantine for over a year, and then I rejoined with my wife after almost 2 years in San Diego, and I've just returned back to the theater district, which is now anew with life again. So,
So you're
you
back
and
in New
welcome.
York. Goldalee, you're back in New York. I didn't realize that.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Well, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, Joan, who is our next presenter?
Lori Krotman is next, and let me. There, I'm not.
As always, a little different than Goldalee's or anybody's. Okay, so here we go. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I'm frequently at fault, and I falter much of the time. I often consort with scoundrels. They can be very funny. And hypocrites, they often don't mean to be frauds, but they usually don't know themselves. The wicked sometimes appeal to me. They frequently have a sparkle in their eyes. Sinners, well, who would I ever be with if I eliminated all of them from my life? They're usually not so bad. The evil, the wicked, it's all a matter of definition. Murderers, okay, I'll give you that one. I don't like them either. And I'm not so innocent. I usually know what I am doing at some level. I try to be a loving person, do the right thing, hang out with decent people, but I don't think I will ever entirely walk without blame. Sometimes I think you ask too much of me. It's easy for you to make these demands. You don't even have a body to deal with. I'm only human, but I will nevertheless keep on trying to be better.
I love this, Lori. I love it. Talk to us about writing it.
Well, listen, who is blameless? Nobody's blameless. And it feels very arrogant to think that one could be blameless. I think we're fooling ourselves if we think that. I think most people don't really think that. And, I don't think I think most of us are kind of scoundrels in this class. We've all done kind of weird, wicked things. And there's an appeal. It was also my homage to the appeal of the offbeat person, the person that doesn't walk the straight line, which goes into my heart better than, this sometimes bland place I live on Long Island. So
Yeah.
anyway, not to go on and on, but nobody's blameless. And really it was more about the appeal of people that are sometimes called wicked, but it depends who's calling them wicked.
Yeah. And I really like, this is very deep in Jewish tradition also, to be challenging of God. Like, hold on, who are you to point a finger? And that's a very deeply Jewish, very traditional perspective to take. No, I'm not going to take this. No. It's easy for you to say. I love that tone, that kind of irreverent, and is beautiful. And yeah, we have the right to challenge God. And if it gets us to a closer place of being self-reflective, which is exactly what your psalm does,
Right.
that's the point. So yeah, I love the challenging to God, and also like, hold on, I don't have to take what you're saying quite so seriously. But you come to a place at the end of saying, you know what? Where I want to be is what is the most human thing of all, right? To kind of do the best, to embody the best self we can each do,
Right.
with the tools we have, with the limitations. But that itself is a spiritual expression of being connected to the universe. Beautiful, Lori. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Lori, can I say, I also appreciate you always wear such nice colors, which makes these Zoom boxes just cheerful. Thank you for that.
I'll keep that in mind when I get dressed in the morning.
Yeah, you do, but you're often wearing very cheerful,
Thank you.
and look how much it affects, Here I always wear blue, it's always, but look, I really appreciate what it does to the Zoom box. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Joan, who is next?
Okay, so Jeremy Lawrence is next. And I can't actually see what everyone is seeing in the screen share. Somebody told me it was too small, so I'm trying to make it big enough. And, folks just text me if it's too big or not big enough yet. So here we go.
Okay, Psalm 26, Le David. David, did you write this one really and truly? The superscription is short and to the point. And the anise and the my's and all the me's, your familiar egotism is sprinkled throughout. Is it you or God that this psalm of praise is about? And is there anything here with which such as I can really and truly identify? Judge me, you begin. I'd write the same myself. Then you proclaim your innocence, which I'd never do. Is that what you meant by to me? That's the original Hebrew. I'll see what that means in good old BDB. Found it. It's complete in the sense of integrity. Elsewhere, it also means to be unimpaired. None of that has anything to do with me, who is broken like this world in which once you were king. You made wars, fuck Bathsheba, and to Saul you would sing. When you wrote this psalm, you had lawyers draw up your case. They pled not guilty, and with confidence presented tomes and tomes of evidence that you'd had no truck with evildoers. Throughout your life, you'd never sat with corrupt politicians or any people like that. People who took bribes, who would slander and steal. No, David, you were above all that. Give me a break. Come on, man, get real. You never did anything which still makes you blush with shame. Like the night spent with me, oh yes, I was to blame. Oh, God knows, yes, she does. I'm an easy lay. Play your cards right, I get carried away. I have to confess that remains true even now that I'm soon to be 72. But holiness is up to Adonai to judge. You said that, David, right at the start. Hashem alone can see into what lives inside a human heart. The voice of our hearts, David, have both expressed their thanks. A king and his discarded love. a warrior and a worrier who both seek the shelter of their judge up above. Both our spirits will cleave to Adonai, will cradle in the curve of God's spine, and then suddenly we will receive God's blessing. Yes, through our eyes, God's glory will shine.
Wow, Jeremy, another tour de force, really, and so many fantastic lines and phrases here. And the tone is just really perfection. Talk to us a little bit about writing it, Jeremy. And where are you right now? Just so Yael gets a sense of our.
I'm one of the members on the Upper West Side. In New York. I like a lot of other people. I had problems with the psalm, and I put it all on the author.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And I
And
love
that
where
was-
you end up, and exactly the same thing that you list all of the problems you have, the things you reject, the stuff you're fed up with, and whether it's in your case, but at the end you come to such a meaningful place, such a place of deep, deep, deep meaning. Really fantastic, Jeremy. And your reading is just really so moving.
Well, thank you. And as I said in the note that, I've touched on David a lot, and he's my middle name, and whatever that means. This is a kind of an ongoing relationship,
Uh-huh.
which I have fabricated.
The best kind.
A sort of wish fulfillment with a historical twist.
Uh-huh. Good for you. It was so nice. I got to see Jeremy in person on Friday night. That was lovely. And by
It
the
was
way,
great to see you in person.
anybody who wants to come this Friday night, remember to register. And I should also remind everybody, Slichot is next Saturday night. So registration for Friday night and Slichot will take place on Monday morning. That's my little infomercial. Okay, who's next?
Dorothy Leland.
Dorothy.
Give me a break. So God, here's how I see it. I didn't get off to such a great start. So maybe when it's judgment time, you'll give me a break. So I don't know how you see it. Who could? So God, maybe I stumble and fall now and then, but don't I always get up? You see me traveling towards you. Sometimes I see you, sometimes I don't. So God, let me know.
I have to say, I just love the range of what everybody's producing. Kind of Jeremy's had so many words in this very powerful word. Could you leave that up there a little bit? There were a couple of sentences I wanted to, Joan, if you don't mind.
Okay.
And this has a sparseness to it that I just love the contrast. Dorothy, I just love the start. Give me a break. I mean, who among us doesn't feel like that about life in general, right? Whoever's in charge of this planet, of our lives, sometimes don't we just want to say, give me a break? So God, here's how I see it. Again, I love, just like with Lori's, I just love the little bit of irreverence and little bit taking God on. But here's how I see it. I just love it. I didn't get off to such a great start. That's acknowledging what our lives are like. Maybe I stumble and fall now and then, but don't I always get up? Reminding us that it's the getting back up. You see me traveling toward you. Sometimes I say, so honest, so perfect, in such simple, simple language. Sometimes I see you, sometimes I don't. That sums up much of theology. There it is. So God, be in touch. Don't be a stranger. Pick up the phone sometimes. Just love it, Dorothy. Would you talk to us about writing it?
Sure. So Linda, who's sitting next to me, I don't know if you can see her, but anyway, Linda has talked to me about her grandmother. And her grandmother, I guess, talked to God that way.
Uh-huh.
She would say, like, God, I talked to you about this yesterday, and I haven't heard from you yet. But you've got a lot of people you're taking care of. So, maybe I need. And she spoke Yiddish and she said, "New." What does that translate to? I thought so.
Yeah, no, it's new. It's so, but it is a very Yiddish, and it has a music to it.
So I was, I guess, sort of thinking
Do
about.
Israelis use new at all, Shari and Debbie? No, not really. Yeah, not really. Yeah.
Israel. No.
Dorothy, yep, go ahead.
So I guess I was thinking, or maybe after I wrote it, I thought about Linda's grandmother, whatever. And the other part was I started to write it in a more sort of traditional way. And then I just thought, what does this mean to me right now?
Exactly. That is the question to ask when you confront a psalm. What does this psalm mean to me right now in the moment I'm in? That's the only question that matters. And the answer is not what matters, is what is this psalm saying to me right now? But absolutely, that tone is such a Jewish tone, this talking to God, this being, God's not, sometimes in Rosh Hashanah, we have such an imagery that's very powerful too, of God being very much the transcendent on a throne, very, very majestic. But then Judaism has this sense of a very immanent God, a very close God that you could argue with, that you could yell at, that you could call to task and be disappointed in, and just exactly as you did. Beautiful, Dorothy. Thank you. All right, who's next, Joan? How are we?
Jack.
That's interesting. Alicia is saying that there's a Russian word "new" as well, kind of like new. I didn't know that. So Yiddish has a deep Slavic influence. For those who took my Yiddish class know that Yiddish, well, it's a German cognate language based on Middle High German of the Middle Ages, mostly. Yiddish of the 17 and then the 1800s especially. So Yiddish comes from Western Europe, right, where German was spoken. But then the Jews took it into Eastern Europe where no German was spoken. And they lived mostly in Slavic language countries. So if you read Shalom Aleichem in the original Yiddish, he has many, much of his vocabulary is deeply influenced by Slavic, not by German as much as, because he lived, as those of you remember in my class, Shalom Aleichem lived in Kiev, and vacationed in Odessa and in the southern area. So his language was very influenced by Slavic, which people don't always appreciate about Yiddish, because everybody says, oh, it's a mixture of German and Hebrew. It's a simplistic, that's much more complicated than that. So that's interesting that even a word like new might come from the Russian influence. Thank you for that. Okay, Jack Neiman, Hamakom's report card. Love that.
Hamakom's report card for me. Grade to be determined. Inspired by Psalm 26 of David. Tzedek, Tzedek, I will pursue always. Deuteronomy 16:20. Your path is well worn, Hamakom. I have my eyes and heart on you. Though I may have fallen off the beam now and then, it's a high bar. Assess me, grade me, evaluate me. I can take it. I have a pretty strong record, no? Okay, there was the time I yelled at that New York turbaned cab driver for taking a long and crazy route to my destination. I didn't have to call him an idiot and ask him where he was from, and maybe he'd be better off going back there. Yep, that was pretty bad. My bad. Not pretty at all. I can do better. But I do still have my eyes and heart on you, Hamakom. I do. I do not mix with miscreants or hang with evildoers. They are abhorrent to me. Okay, there was that time in Montreal in 1973. I was a kid when I got swept up in a drug bust, arrested, and held incommunicado overnight in the basement of the RCMP station downtown. I only rented a room in that house, was innocent and released and moved out immediately. How did that even happen? Yep, that was pretty bad. My bad. not pretty at all. I can do better. But I have kept my eyes and heart on your path, Honeycomb. I try so hard to keep a firm foot on your path always, but occasionally I slip off down that slippery slope. But mostly I am without blame. Okay, there was that time in Miami Beach I yelled at the trolley bus driver, whose job, by the way, is paid for by my tax dollars, because she could not speak English and give me directions. I know I should not have gotten indignant and told her to learn English and that this was not a good job for her. Yep, that was pretty bad. My bad. Not pretty at all. I can do better. But mostly, I have kept my eyes and heart on your path, Honeycomb. But I am so weak sometimes. So it looks like I don't always walk totally without blame. And well, these are just a few of my many bads. But I beg you for a favorable evaluation in light of my steadfast devotion and effort. Not an F, please, but maybe a C-, room for improvement for sure report card. I am planted firmly on your path, Honeycomb. I just have to get rid of the schmutz in myself that Rabbi Moskowitz refers to. It's all there, the goodness inside me. I just get in the way of myself sometimes. Okay, a lot of times. I shall always seek peace in your Sukkot and praise you, Honeycomb. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, and waken tomorrow to a richer and fuller life, a new day with no mistakes in it. Honeycomb's love and forgiveness endure forever. May I be worthy to dwell in just a small corner of your house. Tzedek, tzedek, I shall pursue always.
Wow, Jack. Now, this is a fantastic example of using specific examples to be able to express not just a generic, but to give us these examples, which are at once so painful to read and hear it in your voice, and so deeply inspiring to hear in your voice. To hear the actual ownership of it is so powerful. And wow, to put this psalm in the form of kind of wanting a report card and feeling what's just and unjust, really fantastic. Tell us about writing it.
Well, when I first read the psalm, I thought, and I said that in when we were in our discussion, that the guy had a pretty good opinion of himself, and so I'm reading it and I'm going like, well, I don't think I could write that, because I kind of went through a bunch of things and I thought, I could never write what he wrote, because he thinks he deserves so much. And then I went to sleep and I dreamt this, and I woke up and I basically wrote it out pretty much as you hear it, because it was just mulling over in my brain as I was sleeping. And I remember thinking, I should get up and write this. I should get up and write this down. And I didn't, because it kept pouring out of me. And then in the morning, I did get up. And then I just wrote it.
I'm very moved to send, so many of you have said that there's been a part where you've been not sure what you're going to write, and then all of a sudden you've gone to sleep, or you've gone for a bike ride, or something happened and it just poured out of you. What a beautiful description of the creative process and how much some things take to digest, to mull, to ferment. And Jack, it's just like who the human being you are. Vulnerable, comforting. I found it comforting to read, to hear you read it to us, and just such a beautiful expression of the deepest meaning of the psalm. Gorgeous, Jack.
Thank you.
Gorgeous. Do we have anybody else today, Joan?
We do. We have Monica, Linda, Lori Spear, and we have two Lindas, but we have Monica next, Linda Solomon,
Great,
Lori Spear, and Linda Watkins. So Monica, and let
beautiful.
me share the screen here.
Monica, you there? Monica? She was definitely here before. Is she still here? Monica, are you here?
Monica, she was here.
Her name is still here.
Okay, maybe Monica's having a trouble with the muting situation. All right, why don't we go on and we'll come back when Monica.
Wait, I just unmuted. Can you hear me now?
There you are, Monica. Great. Okay.
Okay, this should be called maybe Diddy for COVID year. Joan, scroll up. Please scroll up. Joan, scroll up. Thank you. And this is a quote from the Psalm, "Do not sweep me away with sinners or snuff out my life with murderers." I got the jab. I wear my mask. I wash my hands. And all I'll ask, keep me alive and in this place. Not like those bums with open face who aspirate, who snort and sneeze, transmit the virus, shoot the breeze, those snufflers who spew and wallow. These are the ways I do not follow. I have been good and washed and clean. I love street corners and the green hedges and trees. Can you guys hear? I have been good and washed and clean. I love street corners and the green hedges and trees. The new moon smile. Keep me among these for a while. Let me see sunrise one more day. I have been good. Please let me stay.
Monica, this is really beautiful. We're still having problems with your hearing you on the internet. I'm wondering if offline we could do some work with you to help you maybe improve the Wi-Fi there, because it's frustrating to not be able to hear you so well. There might be things we could do to improve that. Let's see. I'm not sure it's going to work for you to speak because your voice is very warbly or wobbly or something. I'm not sure what the right word is, but it's a very, very, very beautiful piece. And
everybody.
It's hard to hear you, Monica. I'm so sorry. Okay, I think we're going to have to go to the next one. Monica, let's talk about figuring out how to help you figure out Wi-Fi. Getting other people.
I got a tremendous amount of work on this, and okay.
All right. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song.
Okay.
Thank you. Beautiful. The rhymes, the whole thing, very beautiful, very simple, very clear. Really loved it. All right. Our next one.
Okay, Linda Solomon.
Okay, here I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, of David as he seeks the security of Yah's shelter. Yah, I stand before you, humbled by the enormity of my request. Put me to the task, my God. Make me show you the ways I have followed in your footsteps. For so many years now, I have not wavered from the path you showed me. My heart has beat steady to your rhythm of life. I have sought to be a shining light in your eyes as you have been in mine. I live by your truth. Therefore I say to you, Yah, do not cast me down with evildoers and liars. I try to steer clear of them. I choose your goodness, tell of your glory. I sing hymns to praise you always. I pray, dear God, you will rescue me if I should be gathered up with the sinners, because I trust in you, in your generousness. Be kind to me, for in any gathering I declare, blessed is Yah, and great is God's mercy.
I'm muted. Sorry. Thank you, Linda. I love this. And I love your use of, I hear you saying the aspirated hey and yah, as we talked about the, when a Hebrew word ends with a hey, indicating that it's a feminine form or it's part of the grammar, it's the hey is not pronounced. But if it has a dagesh or a mapik is the correct term for it, a mapik, a dot in the hey, it means the hey is part of the word and should be pronounced. That's why Yah has that mapik in it, the dot, and we pronounce it so it sounds like the breath of the hey. So Linda, tell us about writing this. Beautiful.
Well, Yah is very important in what I did. I'm still experimenting with the way I want to address God. Yah is just one of the ways that I'm looking at. I'm also borrowing from Michael Goldstein, the goodness. So I've been using all of those to try to find out what speaks best to me. But like Jeremy, I was caught up with my interaction with David. And so I had to write as David would have written this.
Beautiful.
So that was what this one was all about.
Beautiful. Thank you,
Basically.
Linda.
Yeah.
Joan, how are we doing? How do we have?
We have Lori Spear and Linda Watson, and then we'll be done.
Okay, if folks can hang out, let's try and do our last two for today. So we'll finish Psalm 26. I'm eager to hear them. Lori?
I'm waiting for the screen. Okay. Hashem, I am what I am. I will be what I will be. Mighty God of Israel, Yah, Yehovah, El, Eloha, Elohim, Elohai, Elyon, Adon, Adonai, Shaddai, Shekhinah, Melech, Hamakom, the omnipresent, creator of the world, monarch, king, king of kings, Lord Almighty, Lord of hosts, master of the world, Father, our King, my shield, my rock, Savior, protector, judge, shepherd, mother, Yuhi, he, she, the merciful one, you, your face, your presence, Shalom, maker of peace, the good, the eternal, fashioner of light, the way, the word, the truth, straightener of the bent, clother of the naked, feeder of the hungry, freer of the captives, healer of the sick, supporter of the fallen. And still I search for the ineffable that will lead me to your presence, to an understanding, to a glimpse, to know that you see me, hear me, care for me.
Wow, Lori, to have a psalm so full, and following up on the question Linda asked, which what name can I respond to have this list like this as the psalm itself? Fantastic. Tell us about writing it.
Well, like Linda and Michael and many others, I can't quite name or find a name that feels perfect for me. And I think that part of not being able to name inhibits my relationship. Like you have to have a name or something that you're having a relationship with. And when I started to think about all the names that I knew for God. And then I did a little bit of research and came across some that I hadn't thought about in a long time.
Mhm.
And it's so interesting how we name depending on where we are at that moment. Just the way, like, I have names for my kids depending on how I
Yeah.
feel about them. You know, Steve, Steven, Stevie.
Yeah.
My relationship with the ineffable changes depending on
Yep.
mood I'm in.
Beautiful. And it really is powerful to read all of those names. Some are descriptors, some are, but they're all names. And that's very, very, very powerful. Some are intimate, some are more a sense of distance and majesty. Some are very, very, very close. Beautiful.
By the way,
Thank
I just
you.
shout out to my Havruta partners. I wasn't going to submit this poem, and then in our last Havruta, we were talking about naming God, and they said, no, you have to submit the poem.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad they did. Thank you to them too. And I think it's eye-opening for all of us to see it listed in that way as a poem, as a psalm. Fantastic. All right, and our final one today, right, Joan?
Mm-hmm.
Linda.
Linda.
I want to tell about me. I am the last person to know who did what to whom, or whose marriage tilts toward a divorce, or who has a lover they meet once a week. I bring nothing in return for snippets of gossip. I don't carry juicy tidbits to add to a conversation. Adnoi, look into my heart. Eavesdrop on my words. I try to follow you with words and actions not sullied by those who flaunt your blueprint for life. I want to sing of your love. I want to praise the grandeur of creation. Adonai, enfold me in your arms. Let me worship in your house. Don't lump me with those who choose a path led by charlatans. Adonai, look my way. Don't test my loyalty. Cover me with your grace. Wrap me with your garments. I can't promise to never veer, but each day I shall wait on you. And if I fall, I will get up and look your way, gather myself and walk toward you. I will call your name, Adonai.
So beautiful. Wow. Talk to us about writing this.
Well, as Dorothy told you, my grandmother was a big influence in my life. We shared a bedroom until I went off to college. She would talk to God, and she would talk out loud to God. And if I did something she didn't like keep the window open too much, she would say, Meshuggah, God, do something about her. So I remember asking her once, why do you talk to God? And she said, why don't you talk to God?
Wow.
And I thought, well, that's pretty wise. So this psalm lent itself to that speaking to God. And I realized at first I was, lauding myself for all the things that I do. And then I realized, well, I fall. But what I do is what I hope to do is as I get up, look toward God. And I might fall over and over and over, but that's what I do. So
beautiful. Wow. So moving, so beautiful. Wow, what a collection of offerings today, everybody. So deeply moving. Thank you, everybody. The room will stay open for a few minutes. And tomorrow we will go back to Psalm, I think 28 we're on now for studying purposes. Okay, so we're going to go back to Psalm 28 tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for the beautiful offerings. Thank you, Yael, for joining us at CBST.
Thank you all so much. That was so beautiful, really. Thank you so much.
Okay, see everybody tomorrow. The room will stay open for a few minutes.